And welcome back to Alpha Tauri, where we have the Hungarian Grand Prix for you today. And it comes with a little bit of optimism. Whilst we sit on 2 points and at a level in which the board are happy with, you can see here that we have entered the top half on certain things. We start the top half on acceleration, weirdly. We have moved into the top half on top speed, DRS effectiveness, even though we've not got the specific specialised piece for that. But we have put in the specialised piece for dirty air tolerance, which sees us move up into the top half by a significant margin on the grid average now, 7%. And we move up quite notably on brake cooling too to get a lot closer to that. Not too far off engine cooling now as well. You can see here, board is medium. They're satisfied on everything. They're actually happy with Silverstone and Spielberg. They were delighted with Montreal, which of course was points. So we're slowly clawing that one back. I think with actually another couple more happies, they might be overall happy. Apparently I actually ended June in debt, which is a lie, but nonetheless satisfied. I'm also done with the scouting team for this year, so I'll stop paying their wages for the rest of this year. Just literally scouting every technical chief that happens to be better than ours, and the only kind of race engineer that's in our ballpark and would join us. But we're not really going to move on those. I mean, realistically, we've been getting 2 drivers into Q2 recently, so cue a proper accident, I suppose. Fastest lap obviously isn't happening, but nothing really else to get you caught up on there. I will see you for Hungary's qualifying. There was an incident in practice 3, all of them were rain affected, but there was an incident in practice 3 that had Alexander Albon calling someone dangerous. I wasn't certain who caused the collision because I never saw the replay of it. I've got a feeling Claire has a penalty, but I think that might be parts. Anything lacking in a tiny smidge of car parts knowledge for that new front wing. Doesn't really affect us in the long run here. Thank God we built 4 of them. Or 5 of them, I should say. Well, weirdly after saying you took 10% off in Austria, you only took 2% off in the UK. Of course, this is the ATR weekend, so we're locked onto hards. Same principle still applies. Try to get unaffected lap times in. Track grip means nothing. Although, people are coming out immediately. Rain. There's a Ferrari coming out, so I'll get Tsunoda behind him. Because there's rain, I might go on board Albon now. As he rounds the final bend, it says he's doing his flying lap. That's because we're on... Well, it seems to say we're doing a flying lap before we're actually doing a flying lap. But, of course, we'll get back to back here. Possibly should have done 1 manual, really, but 2 flying laps will probably get us the ultimate pace here, because we'll get the confidence from lap 1, and then they'll be doing a proper attacking lap 2 here. Although they might hit all the traffic on lap 2. But as long as Albon doesn't catch that last vehicle, which I think is a Williams, as long as he doesn't catch that last vehicle, they'll all be doing a flying lap as Albon and Tsunoda do their second flying lap, so they should be fine. So it ties up to temperature now. They've done, obviously, green first and second sectors because they've not done one before. A little bit surprised neither of them did purple. One of them must have done a purple, but it must have gone immediately to the Ferrari. Alex, I assume. I thought Alex had gone faster than Leclerc for a second there. Only 5/10 off Leclerc. Yuki might have a little issue with Leclerc, actually, because of him stopping basically straight away. But for a second flying lap now, with confidence up, we should see better first sectors. We don't see better first sector from Alexander Albon, somehow. Nor Yuki. I don't really understand this, if I'm honest. Tsunoda only a 10th off Russell, although Norris has done a time, is alarming. Last 4 getting across the line now. Magnussen was held up on an Alfa Romeo, presumably Joe, because he's terrible. Although Bottas is plus 3 seconds, it might have been Bottas. Both are currently through, and we don't really need to care about this second lap, but I'm a little bit surprised it's so slow in comparison to the first one. I'll have a look at the timings, because that doesn't really make much sense. Yeah, all 3 sectors were slower. It was 7/10 slower. The last sector alone was 6/10 slower. Same for Yuki. Is the 2-lap push thing over? I don't think they deployed on the second lap. Actually, I'm really confused by that, because Albon's got 0 on his best lap, and then 2 megajoules on his second lap, and yet Yuki's got 1 and then 0.4. Well, they've all come out again, which is stupid. So Hulkenberg's had a mare then. They've all come out again and managed to get in just before the rain. Of course they have. Well, Bottas did, but that didn't really affect anything. De Vries gets through, though, as a result. Concerned by Norris, actually. I'm assuming Magnussen and Gasly will pull something out in Q2. They've actually not come out in the rain, which is... Although I think the AI are a little bit broken in these sessions, because I think technically you can go out on any tyre. But I'm not going to, because it doesn't really matter. We just need to get through. And obviously they're saving their 1 good soft. Yep, so he's doing it again. I've not sent my boys out quite as quickly this time because the rain comes earlier and I want them to do the manual one, so I don't want them to get caught up on the end of it because they're only going to get 1, I think. Because that rain comes a lot earlier this time round. I don't think they'll be able to get the 2-lap in. It's weird all these other drivers, the AI do sort of weaving when it's under, computer control. Not making that mistake again. Albon rounding the final corner. Tsunoda might have a Ferrari for company on his flying lap, which isn't going to help. But a very distant tow off a Mercedes could. I don't feel like there's enough dots to that to be everyone. But it must be all 15 drivers. I think there's 2 of them tucked up underneath Yuki's giant "this is your driver" dot. And I think, weirdly, Albon's closed on the Red Bull ahead of him. Or maybe that was just because they were going through a tight, twisty section. It looked a little bit more close. Obviously no purples, and we're not going to really see anything that resembles deltas, sadly. So all I know is they've done a fastest lap because they've done no laps. They're down to the bottom of the hill. Negotiate that fine. Alexander Albon first across for our pair. He goes 5th ahead of Magnussen. That's actually really good. Same time as Alonso, surprisingly. Yuki Tsunoda did not relinquish track to the Ferrari behind, so it could be interesting for Leclerc. Tsunoda goes just 11th. Hamilton behind. In fact, actually, I think Yuki left them behind because they obviously immediately stopped when they crossed the line. That's what's happened there. Hopefully they'll get back to the pits with fuel. They did. Here's the rain. I always forget when you do manual beginning-wise. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yuki out. Alex into the top 10. Leclerc misses out. Hamilton misses out. And someone messes up. Did you see who had the problem there? They've gone out. Not only have they gone out once in the wet, they've gone out twice in the wet. Oh, Frontier. Even Max Verstappen went out there. Unfortunate for Yuki, but Alex gets through. Norris was up there. It starts wet, which is annoying because this is the session where you get to use soft anyway. All right, so which way is this going? Stays pretty level and then goes. No real point sending him out, but I will do. 2 laps confident boost is the plan. Thus also proving that wets work in intermediate conditions because he's just gone faster in all 3 sections on wets in intermediate conditions. I think I need about 2 minutes in dry conditions. I might just go now because I'm slightly concerned by traffic. I'll give them a little bit of breathing room. There we go. So that Ferrari's on an in lap, I think. I wish track grip mattered more because we're going to get the most out of this. Last one to do a dry time, of course. Perez 9th. I don't know what happened there. I think he got stuck on another vehicle. So just getting the temperatures right as they get across the line. Alexander Albon did better Sector 2 and Sector 3. He's at absolute peak performance. We'll actually watch him off board here. No purples, but that's not entirely unexpected when Max Verstappen is doing a 1:15.2. Stroll and Alonso 2 and 3 though. Sainz fluffing it. Russell behind Magnussen as well. Magnussen 4th, I've just noticed that. Really. Perez 9th. Norris in 8th is terrifying, really, because it makes me feel like McLaren have stepped up between weekends as well. I'd love to know what the delta is right now on Perez in particular, and Max, to be fair. Obviously not a pole lap because he's done no purples. There we go. 8th, we'll take. Ahead of Norris. Max's time terrifies me because that kind of shows me what Hulkenberg can do. It's a dry race though, and a 2-stopper guaranteed, it seems. Looks like the hard's going to come into play at some point. Looks like I'll use all 3 compounds pretty much. Probably just because of the way they were allocated in the first place with that qualifying session. And I'm actually I'm tending to agree with this first one, really, for Alexander Albon because of his loftier position here. I'm tempted to get a bit of an undercut here just so we can slam the tyres a little bit more. Probably that. And with Yuki a little bit further back, we'll probably do this a little bit differently as well. Something like that. For Yuki, feels about right. 2 laps under. With only a minor push from the start. There's bound to be an incident in Hungary.
And here we go with the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go.
So the terrifying thing here, of course, is the fact that we've got a fight with Norris, but with Perez directly behind, Leclerc in 14th, Hamilton in 13th. Leclerc had a further penalty, didn't he? I just remembered that. Yuki fighting Gasly behind, getting him into 11th. Albon taking Sainz as things stand. Sainz starting on hards, I noticed, which might actually make our life a little bit easier in this early stint. Both Sainz and Perez on hards, actually. And they've managed to put a buffer between us and Norris for the time being. We'll push everything on this first lap. Norris starting on hards as well. 12th through 16th starting on softs. Only Albon in the top 10. Max had already dropping to 6th, losing 2 places. Albon's confidence must be up a little bit, having made those early overtakes. Or singular overtake, I should say. Yuki, meanwhile, struggling. He's made 1 overtake, though. On a personal softs, actually, for that matter. But now he's hunting Norris. I'm going to let Yuki try and do that move before we come off the field. I mean, they're all going off-road there a little bit. We'll come back in. We didn't get any highlights for those early moves. There's not a lot of room in terms of tyres, so we'll take them off first. I'm kind of hoping, I think we're going to take everything off on Albon, and sadly, he's not really making an inroad on Norris. Although, has he just gone for it there? No. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Albon there. I've taken him off everything, and then suddenly he's no longer anywhere near capable of holding onto a Magnussen on hards. Same with Gasly versus Norris. In fact, Tsunoda's down to 13th now, because Apparently our pace only exists if we're slamming everything. To be fair, a Perez on hards overtaking Albon here might be really useful if he can hold on to him. Because realistically, Albon's the point getter today. Can you not just fall outside of a second before the DRS activates, Alex? That would be really bloody helpful. Well, that's depressing now. Yuki's down to 14th when he should have been 10th. I don't understand where our pace has just evaporated to. We had the pace on lap 1 where we're slamming everything. Obviously, that gives you a benefit, but we shouldn't suddenly be like 2 seconds lower when we turn everything off. Because we're still 3 kilograms under. Our tyres are still in the window. Magnussen should not be doing 121.9s in a Haas on hards. Albon is capable of holding on to Sainz, though, it seems. So we'll take that then. Snow's doing 124s, by the way, just to put that out there on mediums. 124s on mediums, when Magnussen is doing 122s, or actually really, I suppose it is, on hards. You know, the compound that is worse. Okay, that might be because of being overtaken. They've done 123s, but Yuki Tsunoda on mediums is slower than a Haas on hards. Yeah, I mean, my backside is it, especially now that we're better as well. This is supposed to be promising. I think Sainz just turned up his engine again and disappeared off of the road, dropped Albon entirely, annoyingly. I'm so glad we're doing an undercut because, Jesus. So Norris at least is going slower than Albon, which should be the case because he's on hards and we're on softs. Of course, the problem here is Yuki Tsunoda now has low confidence. Alex's is still okay, but Yuki, because of that chain of overtakes, is having a bit of a problem, bless him. So I'll try and keep him in Sargent's DRS and get him to fight Sargent, because then at the very least he might get some confidence back off the back of that. Same tyres. Hamilton took Albon. Oh, Hamilton is on softs in fairness. Looks like we can attack these tyres a little bit compared to our fellow soft runners. Same with Yuki on these mediums. I mean, I'm thankful that Magnussen is dropping through this field now. Whatever pace he had at the beginning's gone, but crazy that he had that pace for that many laps at the beginning. There we go. Yuki got Sargent. Just want to get that tyre back under the threshold, because he's going to be a sitting duck otherwise. There we are. Still got high confidence, but this is getting irritating for Albon. Leclerc on his back now. It's so depressing that car performance means everything in this game. Like, it's so pronounced. It's like whatever differences there are in the car is amplified by 10 when it comes to race day. And it will just end up sorting itself out as the fastest car, the second fastest car, the third fastest car, regardless of any strategy, regardless of anything really, unless there's an incident. Albon at least is capable of holding on to... For God's sake, Albon, hold on to Gasly. Stop letting Leclerc fight you and go after the person in front of you instead. This is such a depressing race. Thank you, you keep using all your battery, not even getting close to Sargent there. I'd just like to point out Albon's done a 124.1 on softs. Sargent in a Williams has done a 122.7, really, on mediums, as has Tsunoda. Where is Albon's pace? Actually, to be fair, Leclerc's not going that fast either. Hamilton's done one on 122.6, I suppose. In clean air, on softs. 121.1, Alex there. He's gone behind Hulkenberg. Is your confidence in the toilet now? No. Alex, can you just hold on to literally anybody? No, is the answer to that. Norris is now within his DRS. I thought this was the lap we were meant to be coming in. Maybe it's next lap. Twas next lap. You got overtaken as well, which is depressing. Comes out usually ahead of the 2 Alfa Romeos, though. He's actually come out directly behind Gasly because he's pitted a lap earlier. His tyres are warmed up. Gasly's come out on hards as well. Oh, now you can keep up with Gasly. I don't think I've got the replay for the overtake. Well, everything's going wrong there. Oh, what's this issue here then? It said delayed. What happened? What actually happened? I don't actually know what happened. Still comes out ahead of Sargent, thankfully, but he's got to warm up those tyres. What's Sargent come out on, by the way? He's come out on softs on this stint. Albon's fighting Piastri. I mean, we've overtaken someone. It might be 80-something% tyres versus 27, but it's still an overtake. That's the Vries up the road. Be wary. He seems to have forgotten he doesn't drive in our... Well, actually, no, he definitely hasn't forgotten he drove in our cars because he seems to be targeting us at the moment. But oh well. Piastri actually pits now, of course. Why did De Vries have DRS? That makes no sense. I'm hoping De Vries peels into the pits here. He does, thank God. We'll get DRS anyway, so I don't need to deploy with DRS. Why have we not got DRS? Little confused by some people not pitting yet. I suppose they started on hards, didn't they? And they're just running those tyres right to the end. Norris comes out an annoying amount of... Norris comes out a lot closer than I was expecting. As Piastri's overtaken... What? Has he gone on to softs? He has. And burned them. I was not a lot of time between those four. Remember when we started 8th, everyone? Why does Hungary have to be so dull when there's no incidents? DRS overtake? Oh, there's the Red Bulls behind us. We're nearly about to be lapped with Yuki. That helps the fuel somewhat. I have no idea how much is a lap's worth, but was it about 1.5 here? Albon's close to pitting again. 0 instance, 40 laps in. Everyone's just driven around at their own pace. Norris is caught up and overtaken. Lovely, that's always helpful. Has he gone on mediums in this, softs on this stint? No, he's got mediums in the middle. Okay. So he'll be on softs at the end. Kind of depressing that he's doing 1:18.8. He's faster than Perez and Verstappen on the same tyre. Oh, this game is so nonsensical in certain areas. Hello? Multiple cars have crashed. Where? Is it the two Astons who are here? They're both still driving. It's not even a safety car. So they're both trying to get past the Aston Martin, Mercedes, and they just go, hello. That's gone well. Alonso's not going to be pleased with that. Look, if you're going to crash, crash out. Stop with these stupid on-track crashes that make no difference whatsoever to the ultimate race order. Hulkenberg's had a pit stop issue. That's nice. He's still got out of the pits before we've even got to our box. That's how much better they are. 2.4, a little bit faster. Still 15th. Hang on. How close to Yuki's he come out there? 10 seconds, okay. Nowhere near. Albon's going to have to let himself be lapped eventually. There we go. Good lord, Alex. Just any time you want to have a race-ending incident to someone, that'd be great. Stroll had a pit stop issue on top of his penalty. Piastri's just on a 1:19.7. I presume he's on softs now. No, he's on hards. A 1:19.7 from Piastri. 1:19. That's almost as fast as Hamilton on a medium. It's as fast as George Russell on a soft. Admittedly used soft, but still. Leclerc did a 1:19. Piastri just went fast as Leclerc on a hard. They're both on hards and Piastri went the same lap time. Frontiers sort this nonsense out. There is no way that McLaren can do a lap as fast as that Ferrari, regardless of whether they're pushing or not. Pushing should really only be like a 10 to 20% difference at best. They should be going 3 seconds faster, which actually probably is a 10. You know what I mean, though? 10 to 20% variation, not of their total. It's absolutely nonsensical the lap times that cars can do randomly, and yours can't. Like, if you put yourself on push everything, you don't get those 3 seconds everyone else gets. I can't believe there's been no incidents, though. It's only 50% here. I mean, it was 100% at Silverstone and we got no safety cars or anything. The game is weirdly too safe now. De Vries comes in before Albon gets DRS. Irritating. But we have been somewhat ironically screwed by starting higher up because they lost confidence earlier on and then dropped down like a stone. Although in fairness, Perez has lapped everyone up to Magnussen, who are about to unlap themselves in fairness, but... depressing. Norris is now in the pits for his second pit stop, so we'll see how Albon's done on that regard. Doesn't look great, to be honest. Yes, he's done better, and now he's on a better tyre. Norris has somehow gone 9 seconds faster than Albon in that middle stint, and now he's on a faster tyre. He was on a hard, let's not forget that, Norris. Norris was on a hard, and somehow went 9 seconds faster than Albon on a medium, in part, and also in part now on a fresh hard. He somehow gained 9 seconds, and then also now got to go on a soft at the end. Nonsense. I'm sorry, what? De Vries has just overtaken Tsunoda. Legitimately, he's just overtaken Tsunoda. He's now just locked up, but he was genuinely going faster than Tsunoda on the same tyre. I don't think I need to save fuel because they're about to hit one lap under anyway. I mean, those Alfa Romeos are absolutely terrible, but I was optimistic about this week. I'm so glad we got those 2 points in Canada because I was banking on here or Belgium, and it'd be great if we get something that looked like an overtake here, Yuki. There we are. That's Sargent dealt with. To be fair, we don't need to push now because irrelevant, we're lapped. You should know better, Hammerland. We might need to sort of recover to make sure we're one lap under, but Snowden might be lapped twice by now. Not quite. Snowden's actually going to catch Albon. I don't know how this has happened. Just to make sure we are going to end the race, I'm going to make sure we just sort of get to like 1 kilogram under. We'll be fine, and quite frankly, even if we do leave, I don't really care at this point. What a dull race. Just so depressing. Norris ends up 12th. I feel like they've improved. The McLarens have to improve. It's the only way to explain this. Like, everyone must have improved to have negated our improvement. Because we should have been better here. Like, noticeably better. And we've run out this 14th, 15th sort of information. Just want to throw it out there, by the way. Stroll's had a couple of issues there. Obviously, a penalty, a pit stop issue. 2 Red Bulls, 2 Ferraris. The Aston Martin, then the 2 Mercedes. Haas and Alpine. Norris, I don't know what's happened there. He sort of interjected himself in there. Admittedly, his driver rating is pretty solid, so... And then it's the 2 Alpha Tauris, the other less good McLaren, the 2 Williams, and then the 2 Alfa Romeos. So I think McLaren have joined the party here and at least got better than the Williams. The Alfa Romeo is obviously just terrible. Yeah, this should be fine. I think they need like 1.5 kilograms. I'll just make sure Yuki doesn't get him. Just trying to make sure, without doing team orders, just trying to make sure they actually sort that out effectively. They can't actually go backwards thinking about it, but we need the person on the in-lap behind is actually going to catch Yuki here. He should be on an in-lap. He should be slowing down, but no, he hasn't. Oh no, Alonso's still on the flying lap. I mean, utterly pointless lapping him at the end there, Alonso, but sure. Well, that was the dullest race so far. I apologise. Perez wins, though. Look, I don't like being a negative Nelly, but this race in particular has shone on the flaws of this year's game. The fact that car difference is so pronounced. Sergio Perez, do not forget, started this race in 10th. And not only has he got to first, he has lapped everyone up to Lewis Hamilton in 6th. Lapped the Mercedes in 6th. He started 10th. Lewis Hamilton himself started 13th and got up to 6th. And got past his teammate as well in the process somehow, despite not doing the fastest lap out of the two. It's only because of the fact that Kevin Magnussen started 4th somehow, and it's only because Lance Stroll had issues in that race, crashing, taking damage, having a long pit stop, having the penalty on top of that, that has actually changed the order here, really. Nico Hulkenberg's managed to get his way up to 11th from 16th as well, having failed to get out of Q1. Lando Norris started in the top 10, fell back still, even though it felt like he was overpowered in the race as well. Somehow got through Pierre Gasly. That's the only thing that gives me a little bit of hope. The fact that Pierre Gasly was a little bit off, but Lando managed to do a thing. That's the only slight discrepancy in the Noah's Arking here a little bit, is the fact that Lando seems to have done better than Pierre overall in the course of this race. But the Haas's seemingly have a pace advantage on both the McLarens and us and everyone else. Because so far it's really been the Haas and the Alpines fighting together. And if you take out the error-strewn Lance Stroll there and the overperformance Lando Norris, it's still the same. And then it's the two AlphaTauris in sync. Then it's Oscar Piastri. So I do think McLaren have got ahead of Williams. And now we're finally seeing someone's actual driver rating be worthwhile, because Lando's is bordering 90, I think. So that's possibly what's getting him ahead here a little bit. But because I can't see the full race time, because it just says 1 lap, I don't know how close he got to with Pierre Gasly by the end of that. And that could have just been race strategy and not being as held up in various stints as others. That could have been what that was. But yeah, the worst car, second worst car, third worst car possibly, fourth worst car, ours. Lando outperforming in that particular race. 5th and then the 6th fastest and 5th fastest car possibly in alternating form still with the erroneous Lance Stroll. The 4th fastest car, the 3rd fastest car, the 2nd fastest car, and the fastest car. Does concern me. Sergio Perez does get Carlos Sainz back, and Kevin Magnussen does get Pierre Gasly. Much needed points for Haas there, by the way. They've not scored in 4 races, or 3 races before this. Doesn't affect the overall constructors, and we're still about 0.1 of a second off getting anywhere into this, which is a shame. We got it in the first race, but then seemingly not in any of these. But we're 2.4 in all of them, not a 2.5 in sight, minus the one with the mistake. Albon gets up to 82 though, which is nice. Boschong, Vesti and Deruvula winning F2 there. I've not really paid attention to this recently. But Aaron, Boganovic and Mini, not the one that we sponsored, in F3 there. Yeah, I don't understand why we were that bad, because we shouldn't. I don't know why we're being regarded as the 4th worst car on the grid when we are top off in all velocity things. I think that might be because that was a cornering track, and we are probably, we're still probably the 6th best car there. Probably got the heaviest car though still, even though we put a part on which took weight off. So that means other cars are taking weight off. But that doesn't average to be the 7th best car anymore. And Belgium will actually maybe show our strengths up here. Acceleration, top speed, DRS effectiveness. It's a shame we don't see any more improvements on the car before Belgium, but at the very least we'll get into the break with our dignity intact. Because I think unless Williams outdo us in this next race, then we should be okay. They were satisfied with that. It's weird how we had better results before our car got better. But maybe that's a track that really is defined by the cornering aspects of a car. Actually, there is one thing we can check here. No, we have. I think that's what it was. Lando Norris has the 3rd lightest car and is in the top in low speed. Piastri doesn't have that for whatever reason. But that was so pronounced. It's Lando Norris's overall rating plus his low speed attribute on his car, I think, along with that weight down there. It's weird that we didn't really do too well in the DRS there, considering the fact we do have, top half on that now. But I'm struggling to understand that result beyond just being a confidence issue. Oh well, maybe next time we can have a little bit more benefit there. We'll get 100% knowledge on that front wing at least by the time we get there. But that's it here from Hungary. I always feel like apologising for the quality of that race. I suspect that video hasn't taken up too much of your time, sadly. And yeah, a bit anticlimactic at the end. I built it up and for a dry race it was a bit of a damp squib. But these things happen anyway. Until next time, thank you for joining me. If you did somehow enjoy that, or enjoy my frustrations at least, do like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal by now. Until next time, ta-ra.